Everyone, we are back to our Essential Circle community call that we are doing for Audacity Mode. I'm Tiffany Kranz. I am the Chief Advisor and Coach here with Audacity Mode. And trust me, I am amazing. And I'm just really excited to be here today. I have had quite the week of practicing self-care. My grandchildren literally just walked out the door with their parents to go home as I was logging into this call. So I look like I've been babysitting today while my daughter caught up on sleep. And that's pretty much what it was, because I had a 6-month-old and a 2.5-year-old, and it was a handful. But I had fun, and it was self-care. I've been with them since Wednesday, but now I'm ready to sleep for a couple of days. What do you think, sis?
Yeah, they got a lot of energy, don't they?
Yes. What an awesome week we had this week in our Essential community. We are up to I think it was 17 people.
17 members in our community? That's great.
That's awesome. That is so exciting that we have that many people, and they're coming from all over. I love the fact that Christy, who just joined us, says she's in Texas. I'm in Arizona. So I like knowing where people are at that are joining us. And because I believe eventually we're going to be all over the place. And it's just exciting for us to be online and connecting with people and learning people's stories. I'll be even really more excited when they start joining us here on this call with us.
Yeah, and I like having this call. I think that it's a place where we can get to know each other better. Having the discussions during the week is a nice thing to do. But as people have time and opportunity and desire to join us here, I hope that they feel free to do that. This is just another way to connect and to discuss the things that we want to talk about in being our authentic selves. And right now, of course, focusing on self-care. That really is the focus, and probably will be the focus as we get up to the holidays. I think it's easy to let ourselves go during stressful periods. And I just want to keep focusing on self-care and creating some habits. And so when we get to the holidays, we start into the new year and we set some goals. I hope that we'll have some focus on some things that will really be beneficial for us. So my week was also a busy week for different reasons than yours, and I did not get the voiceover completed on the course, and so the course did not get posted. And it is what it is, and I'm not going to be mean to myself about it. It just didn't happen. But my goal is to work on that tomorrow. First thing that's on my calendar, first thing tomorrow. And I don't have anything on my calendar that should distract me. So hopefully that'll get done. And that it's a real basic course. I don't think anybody is going to be terribly surprised what's in there. But hopefully there's some new ideas for ways to focus on taking care of yourself. So I'm looking forward to getting it posted so people can benefit from it.
Well, I think part of self-care is being kind to ourselves when we can't follow through on what we say we're going to do. That's the hardest part I've had, is learning to be kind to myself, because that self-talk can be very demeaning. So I'm glad to hear you say that you're being kind to yourself.
Yeah, sometimes there are those things that we can't control, and that my thing is wanting to control everything, and I could not control that. So it is what it is. A little bit of it was some technology issues, but once I got past the technology issues, the rest of it was just time and competing priorities, really.
Right.
Sit there. I don't think I'm gonna die.
Well, I'm excited. We are entering week 4. Is it week 4? No, week 3. No, it's week 3. But we started in a week prior to our first call. So this is our 3rd call. So we're actually entering week 4 of the Essential Community Circle. Okay, week 3 of the call, because our calls are supposed to be starting the circle, but they're also kind of like a check-in for the end of the week. So, and get us prepared to start the new week. And that's what this call is all about. And it's getting the people to come on here and using a little bit of this call to meet us face to face. We meet you face to face and get to talk about
Oh, we lost you.
some of the topics that were discussed during the week. And the main topic that I saw that was being discussed this week was asking for help. Wow.
Yeah, great discussion on that one.
That is a big one because, I think that we as a woman especially tend to not ask for help. But I know my men I've been married twice, divorced from the first one. My second husband just passed away in December, but neither one of them knew how to ask for help. They were very independent. And I think that not asking for help leads us down a path that we don't have to go, you know? Somewhere, I think, I don't know if it's in the way we all were raised as to how to be independent and we have to do it ourselves. And I know even with my grandchildren, I try to pay attention to what I'm teaching them, that they don't have to know how to do everything and they don't have to be able to do it on their own. I think it is important to ask for help. You learn it someone teaches you and then helps you apply it into your own life. I think the scenarios are all different. What do you think, Kirsten?
Yeah, I think well, I want to make sure that that you and me and what we're speaking about, that we're all really clear that asking for help is self-care. And when we know that we need help, it's okay to just pause and say, hey, I'm going to need some help. I think there's a lot of shame around needing help. We feel maybe sometimes incompetent or
Stupid.
yeah, dumb, weak, or otherwise. And I think as a society, we celebrate just the ability to achieve things. And so if we're asking for help, then we're somehow less than. And I know that this week I had to ask for help for a number of things, and some of the times it was met with yeah, I'll help you, and other times it was like not met with help. And so like you get weird internal mixed signals with whether or not it's okay to ask for help. And so I think um figuring out and sorting those things out for ourselves and saying, okay, even though um and maybe I'm jumping ahead, even though I didn't get the help that I needed or wanted, that's not necessarily a reflection on me, you know. So I guess that asking for help is really, really tricky, because as a society, I can be shaming when somebody asks me for help. And so I don't want to put that off on anybody else. I mean, I get asked for help and I'm like, "Oh, why do you need help with that? Like, you should not need help with that. Like, what is the problem?"
So can I ask you a question? What is the line that we walk in asking people for help because we don't want to do it, or asking people for help because we don't know how to do something, or we're in over our heads and really do need someone to come in and pull us out?
Well, I think that those are the things as we concentrate on our self-care and think about um, how we're taking care of ourselves. I think we have to be honest with ourselves about that. Um, Sometimes we get over our head because we're too proud to ask for help, and then pretty soon we're in over our heads.
Mhm.
And so I think in reflection, I think you could only think about that in reflection. I think in the middle of it, you can't determine whether you were being proud. Um, I think asking for help when we don't have the knowledge or the information, I think is easier for us, but I think that society kind of puts us down as a you should know that by now kind of thing. Um,
Well, why didn't you Google it?
yeah, yeah,
That's
I know
the
that. Well, and something I think sometimes we're helpless. I think asking Google is asking for help.
okay.
I think that we can ask Google for help. We don't have to sit and be a victim to our lack of knowledge, right?
Well, I need to tell you, WebMD was not my friend. Okay. WebMD was not my friend in learning how to take care of myself, because I learned how to diagnose myself Okay, self-care is not going to WebMD and going, oh, I have these symptoms and that symptom, and so what is wrong with me?
Right.
Because WebMD told me I had a brain tumor and I was dying.
Right.
Okay,
Well, WebMD
actually,
is not
I
a
suffered
diagnoser.
with anxiety and depression and
Right.
needed some help. So
Right, but WebMD is not a diagnoser. WebMD should be used as a supplement to proper medical care, right? So
right,
you don't want to misuse your resources either, whether those resources are digital or physical or human, right? We want to make sure that we're not just taking advantage of or misusing or misrepresenting. There's a lot of things that we can do to um I'm going to use the word manipulate because that's the way I think I would be, is to manipulate information into some sense that it's not supposed to be that way.
right.
um I did think too, one of the things I want to make sure we touched on in this conversation is one of the people in the group identified the idea that trauma is what keeps us from asking. And I don't know what that person meant. I really appreciated them bringing that into the discussion, because if we think about trauma, and I'm going to, if it's okay, I'm going to do a little bit of teaching here. There are two kind of main kinds of emotional trauma. We all kind of understand what physical trauma is. Like if you're in a car accident and you have a whiplash, or you break something, physical trauma we can all kind of identify with. But emotional trauma is a little different. We have what we call big T traumas and little T traumas. And the big T traumas are stuff that, again, we can all pretty much understand. If you've been screamed at as a child, if you've been spanked incessantly, or if you've been abuse and neglect is really the big T traumas. I don't need to describe all of that. We can all agree, or rape or incest or all of those kinds of things. Those are big T traumas, and we all understand traumas, but most of us don't have significant big T traumas. Some of us have maybe one or two big T traumas, but then a lot of little T traumas, which are usually neglectful type of things, like um, uh, I needed my parents to stand up for me in a certain set of situations, and instead of standing up for me, they laughed at me. Well, they thought that whatever was happening was funny, but in my child mind, I didn't understand why they thought it was funny. I
Mhm.
needed help, and they didn't help me. They laughed at me instead.
Right.
Not big T trauma. That's a little T trauma, and the little T traumas add up. If I didn't like to eat peas and I had to sit at the table and sit there until I finished all my peas, that's a little T trauma. So really, the little T traumas are being misunderstood, being missed in our, people don't quite see us the way we are. They don't help us blossom into the individuals we are. They be trying to shape us in their own direction. And so you can imagine how trauma would maybe silence us, and make it hard for us to ask for help, make it seem like if we're not who other people think we're supposed to be, then we can't ask for help, or maybe we don't deserve that help. And so,
Well,
go
I
ahead.
have a I have a question, okay, and I'm throwing this out here. Um, if I think that if we're not taught at some point in our life, and this goes with the trauma stage, to trust our own instincts, okay, and if our instincts tell us we need to ask for help, but we don't trust that, or we don't trust our decision making in the asking. I mean, it's a very complicated, woven type of thing,
Mhm.
and there's so many things that go into it. Um, I think that today's society, decision making has been taken off the table at some point, and people just stop making decisions, and they're trying to bring it back in and teach people to make a decision, because decisions are not good or bad, they're just decisions, you know and the
Yeah,
decision to ask
I'm not
for help
sure.
is not good or bad, it's just a decision.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure where you're going with that. I don't disagree with you. I'm not sure where to pick up from what you're saying. I agree 100% that the decision to ask for help is neither good nor bad. It's just a decision. Yeah. And I do think that maybe this will be a good addition to what you just said. I think that there's been such polarization around so many topics that people they want us to fit into some version of ourselves and not actually be ourselves. So they want you to, and I think it's just a societal, it's just easier if everybody fits into some category rather than you being yourself. When we're all ourselves, then there's 1,000 different ways to respond. But if we all like to drive Ford, or if we all like to drive Chevy, or if we can be confined to the labels, maybe that's it. Like not decisions, labels. If we can be confined to the labels, then we're easier to manage. That's what I think is the societal thing. And I don't think any of us need to, certainly all of us will relate to labels. I was just speaking to somebody earlier about I have ADHD, and they don't completely understand that. And there are days I don't completely understand it because I manage it so well that I don't always know when it's affecting my relationships or my communication or things like that. So certainly I don't want to be labeled as dysfunctional or any other type of negative thing because my ADHD keeps me from focusing well. But I want somebody to understand that I'm not focusing well because I have ADHD.
Well, I can give you a prime example of this. Do I ask for help or do I not ask for help? Okay. Is watching 2 grandbabies at the same time. Mind you, I'm 52 years old. Okay. I was never a stay-at-home mom. I worked all the time. So the stay-at-home mentality, and they're very much their mama's kids because she stays at home with them. Okay. My daughter needed to rest. Okay. She's like, Mom, I just need to get some sleep. And her husband decided today that he was going out fishing. So the babies, we finally got him down to take a nap at the same time. And I sent her off to my room to rest. And then the babies got up at the exact same time. Now, my thought is, oh my God, I got to go wake up my daughter. And I'm like, wait, she needs to rest. I can do this. I can do this. I know how to handle babies. I know how, but I haven't. And I know it's a little intimidating. Maybe people are laughing at me, going, no. But I made it through like 2 hours. My daughter got to sleep for 2 solid hours because I managed a 6-month-old and a 2.5-year-old, and we did it. And you know what? No one got hurt. No one got hurt. I think that's the important thing. And at the end of the day, Mama got her rest, and Daddy showed up, and everybody was alive and well. And you know what? I even said to her at one point, I thought, oh, I need to go ask Mariah. And I was like, no, I don't need to go ask Mariah. Trust your intentions. I had to trust my intentions rather than asking for help. And I guess you said, where is that coming from? Mm-hmm. I do have intuition. That's not intentions. It's intuition, trusting my intuition of what to do. And it doesn't matter that I'm not there with them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I haven't seen them for 2 months, but I still was able to take care of them.
Yeah, and it was learning. I think that's also, and maybe what we can tie back into that trauma response is a lot of times we don't trust ourselves and we think somebody else has the answer. And maybe what you did wouldn't have been what their mother would do, but it's okay. Just because you do what their mother would do doesn't mean that it wasn't okay. I do think that is a societal thing. As I look at different things talking about like mom shaming, or everybody has an opinion about what's the right thing to do, and the right thing to do is whatever you can do in that moment. I mean, Bingo. I do think that we spend a lot of time in our society shaming other people or shaming each other and sitting in judgment instead of just looking at, okay, if somebody asks for help, then just give the help. We don't have to judge whether they're capable of it or not capable of it. That's what love does. Love looks and says, hey, if this person says they need help, then I can respond to that in a healthy way. I can do that.
Right.
So I think there's a it's a challenge. I'm glad we focused on this question in this call, because I think asking for help is a challenge. It's a challenge to ask for help. Sometimes it's a challenge to respond to somebody asking for help. There's a lot of shame wrapped up around asking for help, and we may need to do some more discussion around this as we come into a greater understanding of audacity mode, and what do we do in audacity mode? How do we as a community support each other when it's not always clear, like, what is the motivation for asking for help and what's the motivation for responding? So
I like that. I like that. Well, I do know that we're winding down again.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
I think as I asked for help this week, there's a couple of times when there was nobody to respond. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and I needed help. I was in overwhelm, and there was nobody to respond. And I had to really talk myself through the potential shame that I wasn't important or my needs weren't important. That's a big one for me. My needs aren't important. Everybody else's needs are important. And so I think we need to also look at ourselves when we ask for help and no one responds. Because I think that's the thing that gets up in our head and messes us up, because then we have the ability to kind of mess that up and not be honest with ourselves that just because nobody responded didn't mean that I'm inadequate or I shouldn't have asked for help or whatever comes from that for each one of us. So I want to make sure we talked about that too, Tiff.
Well, come on, sis. Aren't you like Queen Bee and can do everything at all times, anywhere?
I did pull everything off, to be honest with you, but it took a toll on me. It took a toll.
Listen, she is amazing. I'm the amazement officer, but she amazes me on a daily basis what she's able to accomplish. And she's a great big sister to have, I tell you.
Thank
I'm
you.
proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Thanks. I
So
appreciate it.
we are winding down our third call. I'm really excited. We're getting ready to go into another week. Again, we're going to keep talking about self-care. I think it's so important going into the holidays that we understand self-care. So I'll keep posting stuff in there and people can keep responding. If you do not know what we're talking about, posting stuff in there, we have a school platform, schools to platform. We have a community on school. It's free. Anyone can join. All you have to do is log in and join. And I have been putting the link to connect you to school in the comments for these videos, just so you know. You can find them in the comments. Or if you go to audacitymode.com, www.audacitymode.com, you will also find a way to find the schools under Connect with Us. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's where you're going to find the essential schools. That's where it's going to start getting deep. That's where you get connecting with other people and talking to them and responding and seeing what other people are doing. I thought it was really interesting, Kirsten, that 90%, if not 95% of the people that joined said they use rest or sleep as a coping skill.
Yeah, as a kind of a go-to favorite coping skill.
Yeah. I thought, oh, that's interesting. See, yeah. I guess I got shamed so much for sleeping that I don't allow myself to sleep in the day if I, so I'm gonna have to work on that one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to work on that one.
Well, and I think we may talk about sleep as a point of self-care also, because while sleep is self-care, sleep can also be a way of just disconnecting, So it's not always, sleep is not always healthy. It's necessary, but it's not always healthy. So that may be another point of discussion, since we know that a lot of us use sleep and I think sleep is an important part of self-care. There's a lot of people who can't sleep. I can fall asleep at the drop of a hat and sleep very, very well. I like sleep. I'm like, I was not the kid that used to cry about taking a nap. I'm like, yes, please give me a nap. I will take a nap anytime, any place. But there's lots of people who can't sleep, and so maybe that's another good point of discussion in the future.
I think next week, though, we're going to be focusing on intentions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think intentions works really good with asking for help. I think
Mm-hmm.
they go hand in hand. What are our intentions? We kind of talked about it. Do we really need help? Or are we trying to get out of doing something when we ask for help? We kind of have to start looking at our intentions. So that's how we came into that as the topic this next week. Also, I did want to say, listen, these videos are being posted on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, okay? And we're posting these on YouTube. And so go look us up on YouTube. We need 100 subscribers in order to lock in our YouTube channel. So if we can get you to subscribe and like and do all that, it would be nice, to lock in our YouTube channel. So
That sounds great.
do you have anything to say, sis?
No, I just am excited as to the growth this week. I'm excited to get the course up and get some feedback on that. And I'm just grateful, just happy to be here.
Me too. I'm excited to see what happens this next week, and we will see you all on the other side. Take care.
Bye.